of company.
Tonight on CTV3 News, no motive established for Byron Herrera's murder in Sugar City. Police say he received 11 shots as he was executed. Thieves who broke into the Belize Bank ATM located in San Roman, Corozal walk away with more than $100,000 in cash. And COVID numbers are on the rise. Belize could be facing another wave. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, December 13th, 2022.
Ever since I was a kid, I dreamt of going to Mars. You can keep my dream alive.
Come with me. You cannot, under any circumstances, leave my room, okay? Only for 35 days.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Face FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Tonight, the family and friends of Byron Herrera are still hopeful that the police department can quickly solve the vicious shooting of their loved one. A 27-year-old Herrera was killed underneath a wooden house on San Francisco Street in Orange Walk Town minutes before 11 on Saturday night. When the gunshots receded, Herrera would collapse after 11 shots found their mark on his body. But who would want him dead and why? That is what police is trying to decipher.
I said Sunday instead of Saturday. Okay, on Saturday, December 10th, sometime after 10 p.m., the Orange Walk Quick Response Team responded to a report of shots fired at San Narciso Street, Orange Walk, town. Whilst canvassing the area, they received information that a person was lying motionless at the residence of Byron Herrera. Upon arrival there, they saw a black scooter not too far from the motionless body, and the person was identified as Byron Herrera himself. 27 years, he had several gunshots to the body and both feet, gunshot wounds, right? He was transported to the Northern Regional Hospital, where a medical officer pronounced him dead on arrival. We have since launched several operations in that area and still canvassing that maybe someone in that area may have security cameras up. Right now we are just appealing to the public for any assistance that could be rendered to the police for us to try to solve this latest murder. Like I said, Special Branch are going on some information that they gathered through their canvassing, and hopefully we will be able to make a detention or arrest soon in connection with that murder.
While the investigation is still ongoing, the police department is actively combing the area, yet no motive has been established for Herrera's death.
As usual, a lot of people have their own street side theory, but our officers are trying to establish what was the motive, and then hopefully we will know exactly which direction to look for a suspect.
According to ASP Fitzroy Earwood, communications officer at the Belize Police Department, Herrera was not known to police prior to his murder. Herrera's body still lies at the morgue at the Northern Regional Hospital, awaiting a post-mortem examination. Yesterday, we brought to you the story on how just after midnight on Sunday, 4 thieves broke into Belize Bank ATM located at the Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico's school campus in San Román, Corozal. The thieves held the security guards at gunpoint and demanded the location of the school's cash. When told that no money was on campus, the men raided the school's workshop and then proceeded to rip open the ATM's building and managed to walk away with more than $100,000 in cash. Tonight, we can report that police are looking at all angles to identify the criminals who conceal their face and body.
What I can tell you is that the Belize Bank ATM that was stolen also over the weekend from Escuela Secundaria Mexico in San Román village, we have spoken to a few persons, including the watchman, and an estimate of the missing money was sent to us in the tune of in excess of $100,000. We are following up the lead that it was relayed that these persons were all dressed in camouflage clothing, 4 of them, the assailants, and we're asking the general public to assist us if they may know any or have any information that could help the police to detain these persons.
It is not the first time that thieves target a Belize Bank ATM. A few years ago, a similar situation unfolded when criminals broke into a Belize Bank ATM and stashed out a whopping 116,000 Belize dollars.
I do believe it's someone, or maybe persons, that have knowledge of the whole operation. Some years ago in Corazon also, they did almost the same at the Belize Bank ATM. Unfortunately for those persons who was involved in that night, I was working. So they stole 116,800, and I recovered 116,000 the same Sunday. I am hoping that these persons are not out and decided to repeat their crime. No? I know they were arrested and charged, but usually it's people who have knowledge of this whole operation that would try these things. Because we all know that, yes, the ATM have money, but we know you're running so many risks to go into that ATM area. So like I said, we are viewing several videos, surveillance videos, and hopefully we could put it together quickly.
No one has been detained yet. Police is seeking assistance from the public to come forward with any information they may have in relation to this brazen robbery. If you have been following our morning show, The Spirit of Belize, and our televised weeknights newscast, then you will know by now that the COVID-19 cases here in Belize have been slowly rising as per the reports offered by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. From the 6th to the 12th of December, 259 cases of the virus were identified, and active cases stand at 221 currently. The increase in numbers is causing concern since we have fully entered the Christmas season and there is a lot of movement. And as we move, so does COVID. Today, Dr. Melissa Diaz, Public Health Director under the Ministry of Health and Wellness, spoke to the media about the new trend in relation to symptoms presently in Belize.
We do know that in November, early November, and from October, early November, we have noticed a significant decline in COVID-19 cases. And we have also been following up hospitalizations. And again, there has been significant decline of hospitalizations due to COVID-19. We noticed, and the data shows in week 48, 47, and this is the last 2 weeks of November, that we had quite a low number of COVID cases. Less than 2% was our positivity case rate. And most of the cases were due to acute respiratory illnesses, secondary to viruses, enterovirus, parainfluenza. There are many other viruses that cause similar symptoms. But we did notice that in week 49, which is just the first week of December, there has been an increase. And if you notice the infographics from yesterday, you would see that the positivity rate has gone to 9.9%. And this is a significant jump. With Omicron, the loss of the taste and smell has reduced significantly. The majority of persons are no longer presenting with that. But you know that even if you think back to prior to COVID, if you have a really bad cold, especially if you have upper respiratory symptoms, you may feel very stuffy, you may not be able to smell like you used to, but the symptoms continue to be upper respiratory tract symptoms, people describing things like their sinuses hurting, severe headaches, body aches, fever. Some people have fever worsening at night, cough, runny nose. These are the common symptoms that we're hearing from persons who are testing positive with COVID. But having said that, persons with other infections have very similar symptoms as well. So the symptoms have definitely overlapped. And some people have a worsened severity, and some people would say they feel well, they felt bad for one day, and the following day they felt well right after. So we're not seeing a lot of changes with that, and we're not seeing hospital admissions that have significantly gone up due to COVID.
From 2% in October, the country's COVID-19 positivity rate is now at 9.9% from the first week of December. With that huge jump, the Ministry of Health has sprung into action as they deal with several clusters, including one at the Kobe Foundation.
We have had an outbreak at Colby, at the prison, and that has accounted for a significant increase for the Belize district. So for the Belize district, for the COVID cases, we have gone up from about 2% to the last week, going up to almost 16 or 17%. So that's really the reason that we're seeing that significant jump, because Colby Foundation, the prison had about 42 to 43% positivity rate last week. Now they have managed it well. We have had experience in the last 2 years dealing with outbreaks at the prison, and the medical team there, they've been able to isolate the positive cases, and they've been able to contain the transmission. In fact, as of yesterday, they have had only 2 new positive cases, and today they do have some persons to test, but the majority have recovered. They've had no severe illnesses so far and no need for any hospitalizations.
While the numbers are not in the thousands in terms of active cases, the present situation indicates that Belize could be facing another COVID-19 wave.
Definitely, it is. We've seen, our positivity rate in a week has gone from 2% to 9.9%. The difference is that we have not seen significant hospitalizations, but if we leave it to just, continue to spread, we may then start to see increase in hospitalizations. And we need to protect the integrity of our health system. We need to ensure that we protect the vulnerable persons so that we don't see an increase in hospitalizations and that we see a reduction in the transmission of this virus.
The ministry will be vigilant and active with testing to contain any possible uncontrolled outbreaks in the country. Even though the COVID-19 infection rate in the country is ballooning, the Director of Public Health in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Melissa Diaz, says that unlike last year or the year before, when protocols govern entering or exiting Belize, that is not likely to be mandated over the holidays. However, the ministry is positioning itself to protect people and health.
No, not at this time. We've got to look at the severity of illness and the hospitalizations as well. And we, even before COVID, we've had international health regulations which recommends that we do have public health inspectors at our borders. So that is something that we are discussing just this morning, whether or not we will ensure that we have additional staff at the borders, again, to communicate with persons coming in, to give advice as best as possible. So these are the things that we want to do now. And the community and personally, the responsibility has to be ours, that we, ensure that we follow the measures that we need to ensure that if we are ill, if we should try to avoid crowded places, especially now that we know that the numbers are up. And we need to ensure that together we work as a community to reduce the numbers.
The last report, Belize's COVID-19 positivity rate stands at 9.9%. Coming up next, Supreme Court orders for redistricting process to be conducted. Stay tuned.
Shell is giving away over $20,000 in prizes this Christmas. One lucky customer will win $6,500 in fuel, plus over 40 customers will win either $150 in fuel vouchers or $500 in cash. To enter, spend $40 Belize or more in fuel. Complete the entry form and drop it in the boxes provided. Fuel up with Shell this Christmas for your chance to win. Promotion runs from November 21 to December 31, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solpetroleum.com/winbig with Shell for more details. Shell trademarks are used by Sol Brands Incorporated under license from Shell Brands International AG.
LG dual inverter compressor cools air faster by operating at speeds as high as 120 Hz with more stability compared to conventional models. It also saves up to 70% more energy by operating at speeds as low as 10 Hz with more stability. It reduces torque vibration down to 40% for quiet outdoor unit operation. Stable operation with low vibrations also results in increased durability.
The Supreme Court has brokered a consent order between multiple petitioners loosely grouped together as the Belize Peace Movement and the Elections and Boundaries Commission, EBC, binding them to conduct a full redistricting process and present the results by July of 2023. We understand the parties have agreed that all further proceedings in this claim be stayed upon the terms set out in the schedule, except for the purpose of carrying those terms into effect and liberty to apply as to carrying such terms into effect. The claimants have agreed with the defendants, the Elections and Boundaries Commission, represented by its chairman, and the Attorney General, with Lord Michael Ashcroft as an interested party, the following. 1. The parties acknowledge that given the current distribution of registered voters in Belize, it is necessary for the Elections and Boundaries Commission to consider the distribution of voters and make recommendations for the amendment of the first schedule of the Representation of the People Act to redefine current electoral boundaries. 2. The Elections and Boundaries Commission shall identify and explain in a written report its recommendations and all proposals considered necessary for redistricting as provided by the Belize Constitution generally and Section 90 of the Belize Constitution in particular, and shall share the report with the claimants on the date the report is laid before the National Assembly or the 17th of July 2023, whichever is earlier, or such other extended date as agreed between the parties. 3. The first defendant, the chairman of the commission, shall cause the preparation of a draft bill pursuant to Section 90 of the Belize Constitution to amend the first schedule of the Representation of the People Act to reflect the recommendations of the Election and Boundaries Commission as made in its said report, and the Elections and Boundaries Commission shall lay the proposals before the National Assembly before July 31st, 2023. 4. The parties agreed that in this process, the defendants shall consult the guidelines set out in the court's expert report of Sean P. Trend, dated October 14, 2020, and 5. The defendants shall bear the reasonable cost of the claimants to be taxed if not agreed. The International Cooperation and Development Fund of Taiwan, ICDF, has agreed to loan the DFC $10 million to support micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSME. The loan forms part of Taiwan's ICDF move to support the recovery of MSMEs after the COVID-19 pandemic. The loan will focus women and green financing. The loan motion was presented during yesterday's House sitting.
This loan, the loan component, the $5 million, is a program objective, is a general objective to support the sustainability of MSMEs as employment providers in Belize and to support the post-COVID economic recovery of MSMEs, especially those owned or led by women. Madam Speaker, when it comes to this loan, it is a $5 million loan coupled with a US $500,000 grant from the Republic of China.
As was expected, the leader of the opposition came out swinging at the Brazilian administration for bringing another loan motion to the House, which he hopes will be accessible to residents of the rural communities.
It is very well that you have the program for the small businesses, but access is key for the rural areas and for those vulnerable communities, even in the towns and cities, to make sure that those vulnerable citizens get to participate in this, and it's not just the area representatives, friends and cronies that get to benefit from this investment. So it is something that has been complained to me by colleagues that they can't get access. So I would ask that you do more to make sure that there's an awareness campaign, to make sure in the rural areas, in other areas where vulnerable citizens are, that they know that these programs are available, and you do everything to get them to be able to participate and benefit from this loan that they will have to pay back.
All of us should know, the honorable leader of the opposition know about the rural areas. When your father, your UDP government, you were part, wait, okay, finish. When you were talking, I mean, listen. The former UDP Prime Minister, of former UDP government, of which you were a part of. Yes, you were the music ambassador. And what did you do for the musicians? What did you do for culture? Just collect one salary and did nothing. So, anyway, they were the ones that abandoned the rural areas, Madam Speaker. We have been, you could ask all our colleagues, what that the UDP did for the rural areas. They did zero for them. They abandoned them. That is why they overwhelmingly vote them out of the National Assembly.
As you heard at the top of the newscast, Belize is currently experiencing an upsurge in COVID-19 cases. Monitoring the situation is the Ministry of Health and Wellness. With 259 cases of the virus identified in a lapse of 6 days, it brings to light the fact that Belizeans are in complete relaxation mode. But what about those most vulnerable to the virus? They are the ones who are at risk, says Dr. Melissa Diaz from the Ministry of Health, and can even end up on the hospital bed or even face death.
The last time that we genosequenced, it still remained as Omicron. A lot of these BQ, XBB, B2, B1, they're sublineages of Omicron. And the severity of illness and the less severe illness and the decrease in hospitalizations holds true for Omicron variant. So more than likely that is still what we are seeing. At this point, we're not currently doing genosequencing, but this will pick up again in January. Belize continues to have a large number of vaccines. When you look at having the different types, we have AstraZeneca, we have Johnson, and we have Pfizer. And cumulatively, we have over 150,000 doses of vaccine. So we continue to encourage persons to come in and get your COVID-19 vaccines. As a reminder, the AstraZeneca is given 2 doses, 8 weeks apart, and Pfizer, it's 2 doses, 21 days apart. We're also encouraging boosters for the general population as well, and especially so for, again, we continue to encourage the vulnerable population, the elderly population, to please come in and get your booster. We also have the flu vaccine at all health facilities, and we're also encouraging for persons to come in and get the flu vaccine. You can walk into any health center and the nurse is there to administer either of the vaccines that you choose, or you can have the 2 vaccines.
With the COVID-19 cases escalating to what is considered the highest in many months, everyone is encouraged to practice all necessary measures, even if the symptoms are mild or severe.
We have learned a lot from COVID, and we know that work can go on virtually. We can have meetings virtually. So if we are seeing that in an office or at an organization, there are many people ill, you can have that choice and take that choice of doing a virtual meeting instead. We have had RSV in country. We haven't seen significant hospitalizations for any respiratory viruses at this point. But we do know that children have tested positive for RSV. So RSV is respiratory syncytial virus, and it tends to cause worsened disease in younger children. For many adults, it would usually present with flu-like symptoms or with a cough and cold, but for younger kids, it can also lead to hospitalization and lead to pneumonias as well. But again, that's transmitted just the same as the other respiratory viruses. So keeping your hands clean and, protecting each other, that's public health measures. That's the best way to go to reduce these types of viruses from spreading.
And if you are feeling ill, you are asked to visit your nearest health center. since you could be inflicted with the dreadful virus. If you are and are currently enrolled in the labor force, then you must also know that sick days for COVID patients have changed compared to when the virus was first identified in Belize.
We have updated the COVID protocols numerous times over the last year. As you remember, back in 2021, when it had just become a problem, we were isolating for very long periods of time. And then we went down to 14 days, and then we went to 7 days. In September of this year, with very low positivity rate, very low hospitalizations, and the case fatality rate being under 1, we made the decision as the Ministry of Health and Wellness team to reduce the days, the isolation days. So if you are with mild symptoms or asymptomatic, your isolation days have gone down now to 5 days, provided that you remain well with absolutely no symptoms. If you have moderate symptoms or if you've had to be hospitalized, your isolation time is 7 to 10 days. And then you need to see the doctor again to determine how well you are. Because some people who've had a pneumonia, for instance, would not be ready to go back to work or to leave home at 7 days. Some people may be sick for 10 days or for 12 days. Now, if you are a contact to somebody who is positive, let's say that you're a casual contact at work or even in the home, if someone visited you and they call you back to say that they're positive with COVID, we have also changed our process for that. If you have no symptoms, you can go to work, but you wear your mask, and you've got to ensure that you keep your mask on. If you wear your mask and you test at day 3 after exposure, which is what we've been saying. If you're symptomatic, you could test right away, and if you're positive, then you do your isolation as we recommend.
Vaccines are still available, including boosters at health centers of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. To continue fighting the COVID-19 virus, on December 12, 2022, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received a donation of 1,200 boxes, 14,000 tons of sanitizing alcohol gel from the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Brazil and the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, PAHO. The dermatologically tested sanitizing alcohol gel, which is packaged in a 1,156 milliliters bottle, equivalent to 39 fluid ounce, and contains a moisturizer, fights the coronavirus, and kills 99.9% of bacteria. Through the assistance of the Brazilian Cooperation Agency, PAHO coordinated the acquisition, transporting, and delivery of the sanitizing alcohol gel to Belize. Present for the handing over were Honorable Kevin Bernard, Minister of Health and Wellness, and His Excellency Aguimar Santos, Ambassador of Brazil to Belize. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, December 14, here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at CTV3BelizeNews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at Facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3NewsBZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.